Hello everyone, we're going to talk about Pentesting Fundamentals today here on TryHackMe. So I think I'm already in the room, so I can press complete and everything. Now basically it's gonna be a talk, so we're gonna talk about what is pen testing or penetration testing, what is that? And it's a thing you do to try and find vulnerabilities on a system, right? So let's just assume that you're gonna find vulnerabilities on a door. What you're gonna do to find a vulnerability? Well, you could probably try and push it, and if the door itself is really badly made, it might break, or the sockets it sits in, maybe it's really bad, and then they might fall off, So you're trying to poke it in a way, and the door respond to that. It is the same way when you're doing pen testing on a computer, on a server. You are essentially poking that server with your input. So you're saying, does this work? What about that? What do you think about this? What happened if you send to this, and so on? And that is really what pen testing is all about. Now, what the text here is also talking about is that, according to a security magazine, there are over 2,200 cyber attacks every day, one attack in every 39 seconds. I know the statistics, and that is true. It is in that area of numbers. So yeah. Most importantly, there's something called Pentesting Ethics, and when you do ethics, you're gonna first of all decide, well, which kind of role are you? I kind of hope you are the white hat role, but those are the good people that's gonna perform hacks on the basis of being hired to do so. So that is something that is being authorized to do a penetration testing on another server, a server park, or network by another company. So it is legal activity. The gray hat is those people in between, usually call them in between white and black hats. They do not follow any, respect or have any ethical standards. They just basically, do something for their own curiosity, and it is primarily curiosity based for a gray hat. They can do many things. Sometimes they do a good thing. Sometimes they do something, that might result in bad, but I wouldn't really care. Black hat, that's the actual criminals, and those are the ones that are responsible for installing stuff like examples here actually on ransomware and stuff on computers, on other computers, scamming people, actually hacking stuff for usually revenge, fame, sometimes interest, curiosity, sometimes money, but that's more like a business. But not to talk too much about the business case of it, more like talk about what is the Pentesting Fundamentals all about. So let's go down here and say you have the rules of engagement, and that is called the ROE, and this is a piece of paper you are signing. Treat this paper as your contract, and there is a site here you can visit, a link on SANS with a PDF file that you're gonna see. This is a typical role of engagement paper you can go from, and basically that's what you're gonna fill out. So there is a section that talks about permission, the test scope, and the rules. Now the permissions is section document give explicit permissions for the engagement to be carried out. But that is the actual you can do this. The test scope is to which specific targets should your engagement apply. So you can pen test on these two servers, not the other four, right? And the rules itself is defined to the technique that are permitted during the engagement. For example, you can say that maybe it's not okay to do automated DOS attacks because it's gonna maybe cause some harm on the servers, but it is allowed to do some mildly based DOS attacks with delays introduced, but that is for you to your discretion. So this is the ethics itself is you do what you are permission to do, what you have permissions to do, and you stay within your test scope, and you follow the rules that your rules of engagement document describes. And if you are the white hat guy, as I'm talking about, you should be, then of course this is what you do. There are some questions here, and it says like you are given permission to perform a security scanner organizer. Which type of hacker would you be? You are a white hat because you are giving permission to do that. So basically that's about it. If you want to take the hint, you can say look at the hat categories. So you're gonna bring on your hat. You attack an organization and steal the data. What type of hacker are you? Well, if you are probably what they mean is a black hat. So you attack and you gain, and then you are of course the evil guy. What document defines how a penetration test engagement should be carried out? That is the role of engagement. Not gonna type it out because I can copy paste it. There we go. So we just talked about it. That is the piece of paper that talks about and define how a pen test should be carried out. All right. Task number 3 is the one here called Pentesting Methodologies. Now, there are different kind of methodologies here. You have the information gathering, which is the first step. Take the steps or the stages, whatever, in the order you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the order you're going to perform your pen test in, which is very important to document what you do. So the first one, information gathering or reconnaissance or footprinting, whatever you're going to call it. You know, I say information gathering or reconnaissance is the most common terms. Please pay attention to that. When you're doing information gathering, you're not doing any active scanning or anything like that, because there's a phase or stage just below that talks about enumeration and scanning. So what you're gonna do is information gathering is usually considered as the passive way to gain information about a company, which could be looking at Google, looking at GitHub, looking at pages, looking on the actual web page, by generating normal traffic without using any tools or extraction tools, just normal traffic, searching for stuff, whatever you can find, newspapers, information basically. Enumeration and scanning is where you do actual scanning on the servers, and maybe you find some potentially vulnerable security holes in the server there. The exploitation involved that you found something to exploit, so you found some security holes, something to be compromised, so you're gonna try and exploit that. When or if you exploited something and you gained access to the server, you're gonna try and do something called privilege escalation, or in the short term called privesc. Privilege escalation is when you try and gain a higher privileged user on the system. So you are maybe a normal user and you want to try and become administrator. This is what privilege escalation is all about. Privilege escalation can involve going back to information gathering or more enumeration scanning or even more exploitation. So it's not like when you're done with exploitation and you go to privesc, then you're not going to exploit anymore, because gaining higher privileges in most occasions require some exploitation. So just saying. The post exploitation is after, so you have now exploited the server and you gain whatever you want to gain, you prove whatever you're gonna prove, and there are some stages here, and that's mainly gonna be reporting and when you are the white hat. But if you are not the white hat, you're in the black hat and the gray hat, you're gonna cover up your tracks, and basically, that's what you're most gonna do in this phase. The open source security testing methodology manual, the Osten whatever. There is they provide us a detailed framework for testing strategy for systems, software, application, communication, and human aspect of security. And the methodology focuses primarily on how these systems application communicate. So it includes a methodology for phones, voice IP, wired networks, and wireless communication. There are some clear advantages and disadvantages. Yeah, I don't use it myself. We can take a look at it and just say, yeah, okay, so it's a PDF file, and it's one of those PDF files. Can we get an index, please? So let's see what happens here. It looks like what you need to know, what you need to do, security analysis. Yeah, it looks like a pretty good paper to read if you wish to do that, but I would probably never recommend it. Then you have the OWASP here, and it is the Open Web Application Security Project. It's a framework-driven, community-driven, updated every 4 years. Not frequently, it is updated every 4 years. Which is why you find the OWASP Top 10 13, OWASP Top 10 17, and the OWASP Top 10 21. That is wide increments in 4 years every time. It is, it got some advantages and disadvantages again, and I think I would definitely recommend OWASP for you that is a programmer that's going to follow along and find not cover up, but do good security stuff. This table of contents here on the link does actually point to 2017. The newer version, if you go to the top browser projects, and go down a bit, or just in the top, say OS Top 10, then it is the 2021 version you add here. So that is the newer version. Please bear in mind that, this map was made, let me just see when was this room made. Yeah, 301 days ago, so almost a year. So yeah, probably this 2021 version was not, released back then. Then you have the NIST cybersecurity framework, which is consisting of 5 phases. And the thing about NIST and the ISO standard is that the NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology, is only in America. Okay, so if you're not working with someone in America or trading with someone in America or have any American connections at all, you have no real reason to use NIST as your framework. Now, it does cover a lot more than the bare minimum of the ISO standard 27001, which you can also be certified in. But you can do ISO standards all the way, and you can say ISO standards is an international standard. The NIST is only American, so you cannot get certified in it in the same way you can with the ISO standard. Then here we have another one called the Cyber Assessment Framework, the CAF. It's an extensive framework for 14 principles used to assess the risk and various cyber threats and organization defenses against these. So, of course, it says the framework applies to organizations considered to perform vitally important services and activities such as critical infrastructure, banking, and the likes. The framework mainly focuses on the assesses the following topics: data security, system security, identity, access control, resilience, monitoring, response, recovery, planning, which is also really important to have these points. I think if you do NIST, this is also covered. If you do ISO 27001 and you do ISO 27701, I think it is, and 27002 and 3 and 4 and 5, something like that, we will automatically cover a lot more than what it talks about here. Now we have some questions. It says, what stage of pen testing involves using public available information, whatever. So that's the first one. Whoa, so scrolling. Information gathering. So let's take the information gathering here and put in our answer. If you want to use a framework for pen testing telecommunications, what framework we're going to use? We're looking for the acronym here, not the full name. And the acronym It's gonna be the whatever that is called. Also, gonna take it. And what framework focus on testing of web application OS? I can type that because it's an easy word. All right, so that's that section. We'll take the next one: black, white box, gray box. No knowledge, partial knowledge, full knowledge. That is really true, because when you are doing a black box pen test, you have no knowledge of the servers you are pen testing. If you are gray box, it says partial knowledge. You cannot say that. That is not true, because even though you're gray box hacker, it doesn't mean that you know anything. It just means that, you know, you are not intentionally evil, but sometimes you do something for curiosity and stuff like that. So I'm in disagreement with the text here. White box have full knowledge to the extent of what they're being informed about. So that is true to a certain point. The question is, you are asked to test the application but not giving access to the source code. What testing process is this? Now, okay, so what they want me to do is probably say gray box, because I'm not full in of it, but gray is with 4 letters. So what I really think is, like, they want me to do, say, white box, because they do not want me to say you are asked to test. Okay, so in this particular case, they mean with the black box testing is we are still hired, but we are hired with the shades on, so we don't know what we're doing. So black box is then the right answer if we fix the perspective. You're asked to test the website and you're giving access to the source code. Yeah, then that would probably be white box, you know, again. And then they have last one here. It's called the admin has approached for your assignment. Now we're gonna find the flag, so I'm gonna view the page and basically I don't know what we're to do, to be honest. We can just, you know, so this is not really something that I can click. This is just there, you know, it is, yeah. So let me see the permissions. Okay, let's read this because it's probably important. It says, for the pen test to ethical, legal, both parties, application, test scope, define the targets. Okay, so next. Okay. So what is this? So if I put in the IP we're giving here, there. So it's starting a vulnerability scan. It is emulating that we're doing a vulnerability scan. And it says vulnerability scan for service vulnerable, yes, login no. So the web page is vulnerable, the login is not. So okay. So what they are showing us here is that we're getting access to a machine using something called the Metasploit framework, and I don't know what the idea is with this, but it looks very fancy. So let's click next. And here we talk about post exploitation, that we can do priv escalation and stuff like that, and they basically give the flag. So this is basically just a you know, way for them to tell us how things are done, and they show us the different kind of, you know, steps in the where was it again? There we go. The different steps here. They showed us that with some fancy graphics. You know, I suggest you do that and you read it, and then you get back to this and look at the room. So I think this works quite okay. I think it would give people some really good ideas to what pen testing is and stuff like that. So yeah, hope you liked the video, and please consider subscribing and watch my other videos, and don't hesitate to give a shout out to me. I'm gonna respond back to you pretty fast, so take care of there.